So the practice of meditation is a practice of gradually reorienting ourselves away from this non-existent self. As Ramana Maharshi said, there is a presupposed non-existent self. We call it the personality. It's nothing but a series of thought patterns. There is this non-existent self that takes itself to be real. And this non-existent self seeks freedom or liberation or peace or happiness for the non-existent self. And obviously, this is an impossible task to seek for happiness, peace of mind, and satisfaction for something that doesn't exist. This is the lot of human beings, pursuing happiness, endlessly pursuing happiness, when in reality they are happiness. It's the cosmic joke. So the teaching tells us that the mind is operating based on your conditioning. The operating mind is interpreting what's happening in the world as a threat. It's interpreting what's happening in the world based on your prior life experiences, and it's comparing everything that's happening in real time to what happened in the past. And it's using past experience to survive. So what it will do, the mind will replicate past experience when it finds something in the past experience that is close enough to what's happening now, and it'll bring that up and play it in the mind. It'll replay fear, it'll replay anger. These are called reactions, called a reaction, replaying a previous mental state, replaying a previous mental pattern of neurons playing in the brain. So what the teachings are telling us is that through practice we can reorganize the mind, we can train the mind so that the mind is relating to the reality of what's happening instead of bringing the past experience forward and replaying it. And by training the mind, we can begin to experience what is always the case, the true nature, our true nature as awareness itself. If it was the case that these teachings were considered to be relevant and practical and realistic so that they were taught in schools and they were brought to the attention of all human beings, right? If that was the case, right? And what they said is that in order to get access to your natural state, to the state that's unconditioned, in order to get access to your natural state, the state in which you're naturally happy, the state in which you're content all the time, the state in which you're at peace all the time, in order to get access to that natural state, it would cost you $15,000. Now, understand, this means that once you get access to this natural state, you will be content, you will be peaceful, you will be happy, you will know the truth, you will not be your body, so when the body dies, you will just relax. You will not be struggling with what's happening. You'll be able to be present to what's happening in a relaxed, equanimous way, where you would have a balanced way of existing in relationship to life and be experiencing the joy and the excitement of your existence in this life for $10,000. Did I say 10 or 15?
15.
Oh, well, we're going to have a sale. But if that were the case, just allow yourself to imagine what I'm talking about here. If that was the case, right? If that was the case, and what you were going to get is really to be happy, satisfied, and peaceful for the rest of your life. And when the body died, you just relax and know that you weren't going to die. Know that what you were was the awareness itself. If that could really be made possible, right, and it would just cost you that $10,000, right, wouldn't people buy it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're spending $35,000 on a new car, for Christ's sake, right? A cheap one. Yeah. And so what the people are spending money on to pursue the things in life that they think will make them happy, right? What are they? A nice house, right? what are we talking there? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, a nice car, nice clothes, money to get all those things, right? So you have to work, you have to figure out a way to get the money to get all those things, right? Yeah. So that's a stressful existence, right? And then you add to it the politics, right? Especially now, right? Right? It's a formula for disaster. It's a formula for stress. It's a formula for dis-ease. That's why the cancer rate is going through the roof right now. That's why depression and anxiety are going through the roof right now. And because a large majority of the population don't have the money to go to psychotherapy, not that that would help that much, that the suffering is being addressed by taking prescription medication, by smoking pot, by taking psychedelic drugs, you know, by distracting yourself with all kinds of television, streaming now, you know, streaming. Right? So there's all kinds of technological resources and all kinds of modern science resources available for us to try and be in control of this mental state that is constantly keeping us awake, constantly producing thoughts that are troubling for us, leaving us in a state of depression. So if that really was the case, and that was publicized all over the world, that now for $10,000, you can be in this state of being in which you're peaceful and happy and content for the rest of your life. Of course everybody would buy it. Everybody would do everything they can to get that $10,000, and that would be the most important $10,000 they ever got, wouldn't it be? Because now you can buy something that is more promising than anything else that you could possibly buy, right? So here's the deal, and this is the irony of the truth teachings, right? What I'm talking about is available all the time for everybody, for free. That's the truth. It's available all the time for everybody, and it's free. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Yep. That's why this classroom is not full. Because that's hard to believe. And a lot of people who are oriented to a materialistic life and oriented to the pursuit of happiness, right? That's their orientation, that's what they're giving their energy to, that's what they're working for, right? They would look at this statement that you have available to you at all times for free, the experience that you're seeking through all the money and all the work and all the stress. You have it all the time. One of the teachers wrote a book and she called it The Diamond in Your Pocket. Right? You have it all the time. So then you might say, if I have it all the time, how come I'm not experiencing it if I have it all the time, right? You're not experiencing it because you went through the enculturization and the orientation that all human beings go through as children, right? Where you get passed down to you the identity that the rest of us have already gotten passed down to us, right? You get passed down to you the idea that you are the body, you are the personality, this is your name, and you start to develop a personal identity. You take yourself to be a body, so that picture is put on your driver's license, right? You take yourself to be a personality, so you put together a resume to describe that personality so you can get that personality hired to make money to pursue happiness. Right? But what if that personality that everybody takes himself to be isn't actually real? And the thing that's interesting about this is that the evidence is 100% on the side of the teaching and 0% on the side of the beliefs that people take to be the truth. 0%. For example, if you think that you are your body, then the question would be, okay, where in your body are you? This is the process that one of the greatest consciousness teachers brought into the forefront. He called it self-inquiry. Since you're going to be in this world and you're going to be having this human life for some period of time, it's actually a brief period of time. Those of us who are older know that's true, right? Since you're going to be here for a brief period of time, don't you think one of the most important things that you could be aware of is what you are? Doesn't that make sense? One of the most important, maybe the most important thing you could be aware of is the truth of you, what it is that you are. What am I? And so one of the most famous consciousness teachers said, ask the question, who am I? Ask the question. Do an inquiry. Look to see the answer. Obviously, whatever it is that you are is here right now, isn't it? Isn't that the case? Nobody would argue with that, right? Everybody is here right now. So if you're here right now, then whatever it is that you are is available for you to see, for you to recognize right now. It's here right now, right? How do you do that? The way you do that is the exact same way we were practicing meditation. You understand that you have the ability to direct your attention, yes? Now, most of the time your attention is being directed out there in the world, right? And some of the time your attention is being directed in here to the mental state. And the mental state is a voice in your head that's talking to you about out there, telling you what to do, what not to do, telling you what's right, what's wrong, telling you what's good, what's bad, right? And so you use this mental state to live your life. You're living in a conceptual reality called the mind, and you use this mental state to live your life. And while you're busy paying attention to what it's interpreting that's happening in the world, you're not there for your life. So in the practice of meditation, what are we doing? We're practicing moving our attention away from the mental activity, that mental activity that we took to be the voice of us thinking instead of the truth, which is that it's not the voice of us thinking. All you have to do is pay attention to it to see that it's not you thinking, because if I ask you what you think, you look to see what the voice says to tell me. So it can't be you, right? The evidence is 100% on the side of the truth. It can't be you. The evidence is right there. If that voice was you thinking, when it's time to go to bed, just shut it off and go to sleep. But you can't shut it off and go to sleep. It continues on its own, right? It says bad things about you sometimes, right? It's constantly judging and evaluating everything, and it's telling you when things are wrong and you should struggle with it, you should resist it, you should fight with it. And this process leaves you in a state, in a condition called human suffering. And the way out of human suffering, according to the mental state, is to get more money to buy more stuff. And when you get what you want, you'll be happy. If you're paying attention to that process, it's not hard to see that the evidence, again, is on 100% on the side of the truth, because all of you have gotten what you wanted in this life, haven't you? From time to time, not all the time, but from time to time you've gotten what you wanted, right? Did that make you consistently happy for the rest of your life? No. So all you have to do is look at it, and you can see that this is a never-ending process of chasing happiness. And the pursuit of happiness means to get what I want. And every time you get what you want, it provides a brief period of what you could call happiness, but it's actually gratification. It's no different than eating a meal and then you're satisfied, right? But it's only a matter of time before what? You're hungry again. It's the same thing with the mind. No matter what you give it to satisfy it, it will be hungry again, right? Because it needs a constant feed of something to distract it, a constant feed to keep it in the thought activity process. So when we practice meditation, we're moving attention away from that thought activity. And even though we won't be away very long, just the fact that we can move our attention away from it means that there must be something besides that. You get that? The very fact that you can move your attention away from the thought activity must mean there is something other than the thought activity. And when we move our attention away from the thought activity and we pay attention to the body breathing, a new possibility arises, the possibility of experiencing the awareness that is our true nature, aware of this body breathing. And although that may only occur for a few moments, right, that's making contact with the reality that produces everlasting peace, happiness, and contentment, even if for a brief moment. In the beginning of practicing meditation is very challenging because you just have this untrained, agitated mental activity, right? And it's restless, and you feel restless, and the body's restless. But if you stick it out and you continue to do it, no matter what the mind tells you about you don't have enough time, or you're too tired, or you're too upset, if you continue to do it, no matter what the mind tells you to do, every single day without fail. Gradually, when you're moving your attention away from this thought activity and being aware of the body breathing, gradually you start to experience a feeling that starts to show up there. A sense of being starts to appear, right? It won't happen right away when you start to practice meditation, right? But if you stick with it, you'll start to be able to actually feel the difference when your attention is away from the mental activity and you're aware of the body breathing. You begin to feel a difference. You begin to feel that there is a spaciousness here. There is a sense of being, a sense of well-being here. And every time we practice meditation, if we continue to do it over time, that period of time when the awareness is aware of the body breathing begins to open up, gradually open up. And as it begins to open up, what's happening is there is a new possible orientation for your identity. Instead of being the personality that doesn't exist, that's seeking freedom and liberation for its non-existent self, which means that can never work, instead of that, you can now have your attention being focused on that which is real, alive, excited, interested, content, fulfilled, happy, satisfied. It takes patience. It takes a commitment. And this is one of the reasons why the teaching is so important, because the teaching continues to give us information that allows us to use the information to look and see the truth, to verify the truth with our own experience so it's undeniable. And the more clear you are about the truth, the more motivated you are to practice meditation, because you understand that unless you wake up and realize your true nature, you will live out the rest of your life in a dream. The dream that your mind is presenting to you all day long through the thoughts that are happening there, through the interpretations of what's happening based on the past. You will live out your life in a mental state, and you will never be in the reality of your life. You will never experience the actual existence of your true nature in the world. Not of the world, but in the world, so that you can enjoy the possibility of being alive. So there's 3 stages to life. Carl Jung saw this. There's 3 stages to life. The baby, and when the baby is born, the baby has no name, has no personality. The baby's in a very pure state of conscious awareness. And the baby is being the body-mind organism. So it cries when the body-mind is uncomfortable because it's hungry. It cries when the body-mind is uncomfortable because the diaper is dirty. And when these things are not happening, it's in a state of contentment, and it's in a state of peace, a state of rest, a state of sleep. And then around 18 months, 2 years old, a language occurs. Language occurs, and the baby gets a name. The baby starts learning word for word the world. The baby starts learning word for word the word. Word for word the world, and starts building an experience of the world in language. And as that experience of the world is being developed in language, the thought process begins to occur, and the voice in their head begins to occur. And the baby takes that voice to be itself thinking. And that's the beginning of the life of the personality. The most important thing to know about the life of the personality is that the personality isn't real. So you could say that the practice of meditation is the practice of moving attention away from what's not real to what is real, and keep doing that over and over again until what is real is as strong and as evident and as in existence as what's not real. And then one day, if you continue to do the practices, right, the orientation to the identity that's real gets bigger than the identity that's not real. And when that happens, there's a shift that takes place. When that happens, who you are in your life is now awareness instead of the personality in the body. And when that happens, who you are in your life begins to experience what's called the natural, unconditioned state of being. in which there's just naturally being happy, naturally being excited and interested in being alive. In the ancient Eastern traditions, they call this Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. When you are experiencing your true nature, you exist as consciousness. And when you're existing as consciousness, that consciousness is happiness. That consciousness is bliss. That consciousness is love. That consciousness is always content. And it's always there. So if you practice meditation and you make a commitment to it, and you make a commitment to studying the teachings, right? Gradually over time, you'll start to come into existence as what you actually are. You're not coming into existence, you're stopping paying attention to that which is not in existence and starting to experience what is in existence. And the way that'll happen, for some people that happens all at once, like Eckhart Tolle, right? For most of us, it happens gradually. It could happen spontaneously before you ever practice any meditation. Most people have what Maslow called self-actualizing experiences at different times in their life. What is that? It's an experience where in the middle of your ordinary life, doing what you ordinarily do, thinking what you ordinarily think, feeling what you ordinarily feel, in the middle of your ordinary life, all of a sudden there's this sense of being that happens in which you feel untroubled by anything. You feel alive, fully excited, and all the things that you were carrying as a burden and a responsibility seem to disappear. And you're just in this natural state of well-being and happiness. This happens spontaneously for most people at certain times in their life. And then it comes to an end and they go back into the mental state again. When you practice meditation, if you're doing it consistently, over time, the way it's meant to be done, and if you're studying the teachings, right, at certain points, as you continue to practice, there will be times when you are experiencing the truth. There are some people here who have been coming to this class on a regular basis for several years, right? Of those people who have been coming to this class for several years, I suspect that your ability to experience your true nature, right, is getting stronger, right? It's getting stronger. One of the ways that you see this is that when you are in conflict, when the mind's telling you that you're in conflict with another human being and it produces anger and it produces negative thoughts about this other human being, right? Through the practice, what will happen is that will occur, and instead of your mouth being directly related to your state of mind, you're able to recognize the state of mind and realize that this state of mind is a reaction, and realize that this state of mind is a state of mind. Therefore, you don't have to express this state of mind. You can express a more peaceful, workable way of being. When that happens, it's verifying the truth. It's verifying that you have begun to make a new identity for yourself, or you've begun to experience the identity that's always been there in the background. And as it comes forth in your life, life starts to get easier. You start to be an expression of your true nature, which is love. You start to experience other human beings as you. You know this old saying, love your neighbor as thyself, right? Obviously, it's not being practiced much in the world, right? And the reason that that's the case is because most people do not consider their neighbor to be the same as them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. In order to love thy neighbor as thyself, you have to see your neighbor as you. And through these practices, you come to know that the awareness is your true nature, and you understand that everybody's experiencing the same exact awareness as their true nature. Therefore, they are you. And when you experience that other people are you, you will just naturally treat them well, won't you? You'll treat them the way you want to be treated. That will be your natural way of being. It's not something you have to practice, not something you have to force. It's just how you show up when you're experiencing your true nature. So this class is like coming to get an infusion. I want you to notice that outside of this class, you don't hear people talking like this, right? Right, because they're under the power of the hypnotic state of mind that most of humanity is living in. And they consider this to be, crazy. It is crazy. It's a crazy understanding to believe you could be happy right now. Nothing has to change, right? Yeah. But it's true. It's true. And if you're willing to allow yourself to practice meditation and to study these teachings by reading books about them, there's a lot of contemporary non-dual teachers now. So you can study the teachings, and that will motivate you to do the practice, and then come to the class on a regular basis, to keep coming and getting some oxygen here. 2 days a week, and come and get some oxygen here, right? When you leave this classroom, if you breathed in this oxygen, if you were inspired, the word inspire means to breathe breath into, to inspire people, to breathe breath into you. If you leave this class and you feel there's something available here, something more spacious here, a new possibility that you may have not been familiar with before, then keep coming to the class and start practicing meditation every single day. And it's inevitable. If you persist, it's inevitable, because the truth is true. If you persist, it's inevitable that you will begin to experience the possibility.